Well, Sunday in the woods is a good time to consider our current situation. It's almost like a comic I used to read when I was a kid called Mad Magazine, where everything in it was a satire of what was going around in the world. And it seemed pretty far out back at the time, but what we're living right now almost seems like what went on in Mad Magazine. In Canada, we have a genderless prime minister who can't seem to make up his mind whether to be the head of a democracy or try and run the place like Cuba when Castro was running things. In the States, we have a geriatric president who seems hell-bent on getting us into a nuclear war, basically just to cover the misdeeds of his corrupt and political history. I can't think of a more morally bankrupt or corrupt politician in recent years than Joe Biden. It appears now he's trying to cover up all the business dealings he and his family have had in Ukraine by starting World War III. It makes no sense at all. And the sad thing is if they manage to impeach Biden and get rid of him, then you have Kamala Harris, who's the vice president next in line, who I don't think is capable of running a lemonade stand. She can't even seem to get through a press conference without breaking into hysterical cackling anytime someone asks her a question she can't answer. And after that, you have Nancy Pelosi, which her recent appearances on TV and that weird wrist-rubbing ritual she went through over Biden declaring people who've been exposed to poisonous burn pits overseas. Can't make this shit up. I'm not sure who comes after that in the great scheme of things in the States, but it doesn't look good. It looks like the fall of Rome almost, where the people that should have the job didn't want it and walked away and left anyone who was there, incompetent as they are, to run the show. Should add corrupt and incompetent, because that appears what's to be going. I mean, how in hell do you get a government job that pays you a couple $100,000 a year and retire a multi-millionaire? Business dealings, stock changes. You have to figure that if someone's in a position of power, they know before anyone else where funding is going, what programs are going to be cut, what ones are going to be expanded, what businesses are going to receive what in the way of grants or loans or business deals. It just boggles the mind. I don't know, the rate we were going, it almost seems like we're going to be back into a new dark age, which involves living in the woods and having bonfires to keep warm. Hopefully it won't come to that point, but who knows? It's best to keep a sense of humor about these things. There's so many distractions that draws one away from thinking about their place in the world. It almost seems right now that most people are in pretty desperate straits. I read a while back that the average North American can't come up with $400 cash for an emergency. They'd have to dip into credit cards or line of credit or borrow money from relations. $400. It's getting to the close now that if you drive an SUV, that might get you 2 tanks full of gas. It's sad and funny at the same time how we've allowed things to get to this point. Where it all ends, nobody knows. I know this year I got looking at my own situation thinking, well, I don't owe any money. I don't have any debt. Everything's paid for. Some money stashed away. But it might be a good idea to become as self-sufficient as possible, within reason. So this year I'm doubling the size of my garden. I even started my own seeds. Started some beans and peas and tomatoes and a bunch of herbs and spices that I normally use on a regular basis, rather than pay through the nose at the nursery. Because as we all know, the price of everything's going up. So I would imagine all the bedding plants that one bought last year are probably going to be 20-30% more than they were last year. And there might even be some bedding plants that aren't available because it's simply not profitable to grow them. I mean, we have fertilizer prices through the roof, diesel through the roof, which means that farmers are going to have to make decisions as to what's profitable enough for them to plant and what isn't, which means the variety which we will have come this summer and fall will be a lot different than what it was the year before. So if you have any room on your property, it might be an idea, to plant some potatoes and some basic root vegetables. Plant some salad greens that you can eat throughout the summer, like tomatoes and lettuce and snow peas and beans and that kind of thing. You can throw in the pot. Might be an idea to drag out some of Grandma's cookbooks and relearn how to can your own produce, or buy things that are on sale and prepare them and put them away. I know that's something I'm going to tackle this year, which I'll video. The things that a lot of us have drifted away from. The idea that you really don't have to have any skills and any knowledge other than the ability to make enough money to pay other people to do all that stuff for you. Which is all well and good, but if that kind of society goes away or cuts back, we're left with a whole lot of people that really don't know how to do much of anything other than to go to work, buy all their food from a store, get most of their meals through a drive-through, and are really capable of the most basic things our grandparents would have known how to do. Which means as things really do get tough, what are these people going to do? They're certainly not going to sit around and wait for someone to bail them out. Most societies are only about 4 days, 4 meals away from political unrest. You can force people to do an awful lot of things, as we've seen with the pandemic. But when it comes down to denying them food, or the very basic necessities, then we have problems. So I suggest anybody who has the ability to do so, start stocking away some things. If you're going shopping, find stuff that's on sale, buy a couple extra cans, a couple extra bags of the things that you eat, and put them away. Get a lot of dry goods that store almost forever, like pasta, rice, beans, that you can make into simple stews, soups, what have you. I live that way most of the time and have for quite a while. So in future we'll post up some videos about that type of thing as well. Setting up a basic pantry. Dollar store gourmet meals is what I plan on doing. So we'll have to see what comes down the pike. In retrospect, I find it hard to believe we're actually where we are right now. There was a time where you looked up to authority. You had reasonable expectations the government would make wise decisions. And you get to a certain age and realize that it's all been a big shell game. Nobody's really in it for the patriotism. They're padding their pockets, finding good deals for friends and family, and hoping no one finds out about it. But the current situation, where we have government meddling in other nations' affairs, is so transparent now it's impossible to hide. All wars are about resources and control. They're not about patriotism. They're not about rights. They're not really about freedoms. They're basically about people that are sick and tired of not having enough to eat, or having any security about where they live, where they go, when they come back. Insecurity. Well, that's about all I have for my diatribe for today. If you like the podcast, please like and subscribe. Covering all kinds of things in the future about self-reliant living, minimalism, finding peace with your life, personal happiness, and little adventures. If you don't like it, well, I can't help you. I wish you all the best. Until then, breathe deep, think clearly. This is Mike from the Fulcrum.